We're ready. You ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay, so it's my understanding we have a half an hour presentation and 15 for Q&A.
That is correct.
Okay, yeah, and I'll start the stopwatch. So, well, first of all, thank you for this opportunity. Hope you can see what our presentation. We have a lot of information, and it's a great opportunity for us. And we'll talk more about why we pursue work and stuff through the presentation. But we read all the available information, and three things that we took out of it is a personalized and meaningful education. And the building should support that, whatever option you go with. Without question, the community is a partner here. And, Marianne and C and I will talk more about how we bring the community through the process, and priorities and values, very, very important. So what we did here is the way we formatted, we answered your 4 questions, and then we have some additional slides. So I don't want to spend too much time on the front end. But again, just to introduce ourselves, I'm Dale Caldwell. I'll be the project exec. I've been with Skanska for 21 years. This entire team, all we do is OPM. We don't do CM work or anything else. As some of you may know, Skanska is a construction company. I have my master's degree in civil engineering from Worcester Polytech. My role with Skanska is to oversee all the MSBA work and staffing. So again, I know that's another question we'll talk about. So I'm going to turn this over to Marianne.
Yes, thank you. Marianne Williams, project director. I started my career as a union carpenter working in the field 10 years. I went back to school, got my master's in business administration at Simmons Graduate School of Management. Once I finished school, I moved into project management as a construction manager, working for that company 10 years. I joined Skanska 12 and a half years ago, their OPM group, and have been with them ever since.
Hi, my name is C. Nguyen, and I've been in the construction industry for 26 years. Started out as an intern for the facility department at the university. I've worked as an OPM with a general contractor, and I've been with Skanska for 7 years. And I very look forward to working with the committee and the community in bringing this project to reality.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mike Culla. I've got over 35 years in the industry. I've been with Skanska the last 10 years. And I got to tell you that my favorite role, and I've had a few, is the owner's rep. My style is I believe in being omnipresent on the site. I walk the job several times a day, and this allows for me as the owner's rep to have a finger on the pulse, to keep an eye on the safety, QA, QC, manpower, scheduling for testing if we need Briggs to come in for any testing. And this presence also allows me to build strong relationships with all the key stakeholders on site. Nice to meet you all.
And this is Dale Caldwell again. Irina knows she's definitely part of the team. She had a family emergency tonight, so unfortunately she could not attend. But again, just you can see Irina there. She's an assistant project manager supporting the team. But just want to highlight that she unfortunately couldn't attend.
Great. Well, I'm not going to read it to you. This is your mission statement for Wakefield Memorial High School, but your mission is our mission. Our services must align appropriately with your mission and project objectives, and in order to select the most effective project implementation strategy. So we are mindful of what that is and what the process is, and we plan to bring that expertise to your project as well. So your first question was, how does your company envision working with the Permanent Building Committee? And as representative of town is a very involved owner. I just want to say, we need you, and we need you involved so that we can set the project up for success and identify, the unique aspects of this project, and that requires your input. So the most successful projects that we have worked on have highly involved community participants and committees. And we recognize your accomplishments to date. It's impressive that 5 tries, submitting a statement of interest 5 years in a row, and that you have gotten to this point in time with your project. And so I commend you. It's no easy task, and it takes a lot of commitment on your part. We plan to be a trusted advisor and a partner here. We're going to help you build consensus in the community. We're going to do the appropriate analysis that you need so that there can be an informed decision-making process, and providing timely information that's critical to the process. And with the Wakefield Daily Item, we just hope that we're going to keep the news positive. So whenever they hear anything about the Wakefield Memorial High School project, they're going to hear good things. And we know that's really important. So we're going to keep helping to communicate the benefits of the project. And I ask that if you haven't already, to please call our references and ask them about what kind of job they think we've done in the past.
And that's to keep the PBC informed. We plan on doing monthly updates, or we can do it if it requires it. We can also do bi-weekly or weekly. But one of the tools that we have to give you guys a snapshot of where we are is this dashboard, the budget dashboard, which would give you where we in terms of the construction budget, the project budget, how much we spent to date, identify key contracts and where we are with that, your budget actual versus actual expenditures. And we also track the pro-pay submission to MSBA, how much we submitted, how much has been reimbursed. So just so you have a real, excuse me, a real time in terms of where we are in terms of the budget and where we stand. This is just an example of one of our reports.
All right, thanks, Steve. So the second question you had is about the stability of our team. I could tell you it's very stable. One thing that we do, Skanska, when we look at a project, there's three things we look at, and the first and most important is our staff. Are they available for the entire duration? The team you're looking at here, plus Irina, I could tell you they're committed to the beginning all the way to the end. So the three things, again, is our staff. That's a priority. If we don't have the right staff, we wouldn't go after this project. The location, for example, if you're on Provincetown, we wouldn't be here right now. There's no way we'd be able to go down to Provincetown and support it. And the type of project, we'll talk more about our experience with the MSBA in K through 12. We are like a high school OPM, and I have some nice little slide to show you. So again, we're fully staffed. We have a deep bench, and if there was any change, the process that and we have low turnover rate, so it's very rare that we would change out our staff if someone retires or decide to do something different. There is a process in place where I'll come to you with a resume or resumes, and you can interview individuals, and you have to sign off and approve that change. And the person would be or equal. Again, the MSBA has it very well scripted out if we had to make that change. So again, the team's available. So turn this over to Mary Ann.
Yes, so following up on that, we understand and recognize long-term commitments. For example, the Minuteman project that C and I worked on together, we started the feasibility study at the end of 2012, and we're completing fields now. It was a very long duration for the project, 16 member communities. So in communicating the need for the project, it wasn't just to one city or town, it was to 16. And so it was probably longer than a typical feasibility study, but it was really tied more to the fact that we had to do such extensive community outreach. One thing I did want to mention is that we understand long-term commitments, and speaking about stability, I was a carpenter for 10 years. You go from job to job when you're a union carpenter, but my last employer, I was with them for 10 years and with Skanska 12 and a half years. So I understand long-term commitments. This project happens to be 2 miles from my house, which all the more reason why I would want to see this project through to the end. I'm very excited about the possibility of working with the team.
And so I've been with Skanska for 7 years, and I started when I moved to Massachusetts 7 years ago. And though Skanska is a big company, I came to realize working here that you're not left to fend for yourself alone. I can pick up the phone and call Mary Ann or Dell or any of our project exec or management, ask them for a question, for advice, and if they don't have the answer, they'll advise me and tell me who I can reach out to. And also, I can also reach out to our other project managers and Mike, other field reps, and reach out for their their depth and breadth of construction knowledge. I tell you this because I want to let you know that, it's like I'm not going anywhere. I love working at Skanska. They have a great culture. They mentor, develop, and nurture other employees. They not only just talk about it, but they provide the support. And and the tools to do it. So I just want to say that, I'm not going anywhere. But however, if I should get hit by a bus, we have as Dell mentioned, right, the staffing to fill it until an appropriate person can be replaced. So
I'd just like to say that I feel energized and empowered by my team on a daily basis. And I know that this team would love the opportunity to turn your vision for Wakefield High School into a reality.
So getting to yes, there's two questions here. One is, what is our experience working with communities and assisting the town in developing a campaign to sell the project to the community? Well, yes, getting to yes starts on day one. All of the analysis that we do, all of the information that we generate is public information. And this body of work that we're going to do over the period of the feasibility study and schematic design is the information that's going to be utilized in bringing the community along with the committee, so that everybody is coming along together. By the time you get to a place to vote locally on approving the project, everybody in town is going to know what the project is about, what the process was, and to feel as though they were very engaged and included in that process. Your second question, and what have you included in your proposal for this type of assistance? You have us until the vote. That's what's in our proposal. We've done it before successfully, many projects, and we'll do it again. We're very dedicated to the process. We understand the importance of education, that it's a big deal. This is where we send our children to school to learn. And we will work with you in a collaborative process. We'll be professional, respectful, and we'll listen. All opinions are important, and there is no wrong question. We will just keep working to build the momentum and the understanding of what's happening with the project. And some of the ways we'll do that is with open houses at the school, public forums, informational votes. You'll see in the lower right-hand corner of the slide, that's a slide of a project we worked on. A lot of people there. We generated a lot of interest in that project. And when we were getting to the point where we were going from preliminary design to preferred schematic, what we did is we invited the community to come, and we gave them stickers, and we asked them to vote for 3 of the 5 options there. And what they voted for was really pretty interesting. The votes that came out of the building committee aligned with the information that we were learning in the community. So we were very successful in bringing the community along with the building committee to understand the direction, and there was a consensus there. And when the vote took place, there was a 66% approval for Proposition 2.5 debt exclusion. So we know that there's lots of opportunities for public forums and workshops. You have a beautiful community access television studio within the high school. We will be feeding information on a regular basis that can go on a project website. So we think we're the right team for you to do this, because we've done it before and we've done it successfully.
And also, excuse me, to add to that, I was a committee member for my town, and I understand the information, the type of information. I wanted to know what the costs were, where they were spending it on. So as part of the package that we're going to prepare for the town, we're going to put together packages that will explain to the voters of the town where the money is going, how the money is being spent, and why it would cost X dollars to build the school, so that the town can understand the value of their investment. So that's also what we do.
Okay, so question 4, you asked about what makes our company unique in the services we provide. The short answer is our people. As you may or may not know, Skanska, we are a construction company. We are a dedicated OPM group. So everyone you see here, all we do is OPM work. However, we have the resources of the CM group. And I want to highlight Mike Cullen again, over 35 years experience in the field from safety to QA, QC. There's no shortcuts with Mike. I can tell you that. He's probably one of the most valuable people in the field, just continuing to, make sure what you pay for is getting done. So I'm going to quickly go through these 10 employees. And again, these are all Skanska employees, and they're all filtered up through Marianne and C. You're not going to have these people calling you individually, but they're a phone call or a text away. I've sat in meetings, Marianne C, the same, where we have a question or want a second opinion. Any of these 5 or 10, excuse me, we can text. So Matt Esposito, top left, he's our estimating. He's our director of estimating. We have 15 full-time estimators in-house. So when we do our estimate, we look to Matt. Value management, value engineering, we'll talk a little bit about that. So as we go through the project, as they put an estimate together, they're also building like a value management sheet to say, hey, there's other things that you consider, as well as what we have. Change order management, it's a great tool too, where we can go to Matt and say, hey, we're in a meeting, we're hearing that, this is a subject, they're thinking about doing something different. Is that a premium? Does it cost more? So it's a great asset. Pedro, another one, scheduling. We bring Pedro in, and he does a peer review. Well, first of all, we're going to ask the GC or CM to give us a very detailed schedule. I mean, like a 8,000 line item schedule. So Pedro, day one, we'll look at the baseline schedule, make sure it makes sense. We're going to look at milestones, topping off, building enclosure. And then when we get the pay racks, we look at it all. And just so it's clear, everyone on this Skanska side, we can easily do this, but we find that bringing somebody in, a subject matter expert, and this is all within our fee, and our fee is comparable with everybody else. So all these people are within our fee, so it's not paying an extra, if you will. So Pedro will come in and look at the schedule on a monthly basis. So yeah, we think they're getting there, and they'll review it. And in a very professional manner, he'll go back to the CM or GC and say, hey, have you guys considered, maybe moving this critical path to kind of bring the schedule in? Time is money. Sandy McLeod, permitting and code. Sandy was part of the Mass State Building Code. If you go for an ABC license, most likely you're going to be interviewing with Sandy. So again, second opinion, third opinion. The architects will most likely have their own code consultant, but again, Sandy can help us with any quick responses. Susan Gleason, she actually replaced Sandy on the BBRS, building regulations standards. She actually forms the group when there's a new building code, if there's new energy code or something's coming down, so we can bring it to the team to say, hey, listen, coming down the pipeline here is a new code or whatever, maybe it's insulation or something. So she represents the building industry on the BBRS. Mike Zepp, asset management, enhanced turnover. So basically, Mike will come in again when we get to the point where we're turning the buildings over to systems. Mike again could do a peer review, say, yeah, this looks right. However, they may want to focus more on whatever subject. So again, another opportunity. David Watts, very important safety. As Mike said, part of his job in the field, as we all probably know, construction is dangerous. Last thing we want any type of accident. So what we do is we bring David in or one of his team members. GCCM, they're going to give us a safety plan. We'll review it. Skanska, our regulations are higher or more stringent than OSHA. So we will come in and say, hey, this is what we would recommend. And again, if we need an opinion of something that's unsafe, we would ask, David. And again, Mike will stop it in the field, but David is a great resource. Hal Raymond, great strategic hire about 3 years ago. Hal worked for an independent testing agency for the envelope of the building. So roofing, flashing windows, door sills. We give Hal the drawings as they're going through. He'll look at the details for flashing. During the construction, he'll come out and do a quick review with Mike. They'll walk the job site. As you probably know, they're going to do a mock-up, so Hal can look at it and give his opinion or recommendation. Robert Malone, geothermal specialist. Actually, Robert has a geothermal well at his house, so he's all into geothermal. He's a great resource. He's always tracking, opportunities for any type of, rebates or any grants or anything with geothermal. And again, it's another resource that we can tap his shoulder. Mark Moore, MEP commissioning. Again, when we do, all these buildings will be 3D modeled. So, MEPs, FP, we bring Mark in and say, hey, can you look at the model? Do you think they're there ready to sign off on? And Mark will say, maybe the electrical or maybe the interface between mechanical and structural has to be, thought out a little more. And then finally, Albert Zoops, BIM modeling, VDC. Again, we could put a 3D model on a building. We have an example here as we go through the presentation, but again, that was all in-house. So again, it's our people, I'm biased. I think we got the best people in the industry, just to get candid here. So again, these are all resources that we're going to bring to the team.
So to continue on about your question about why we're unique, I think we've demonstrated that. And if you look at how we're described by others we work with, we really get a lot of positive feedback from architects, engineers, owners, and construction managers, because they believe we truly bring a level of value to the project. We're not competing with people, and we're not passing work through, we are doing our work. So what we do is that we analyze, as the leader of the team, I need to analyze where people are strong and where there might be some missing actions or missing conversations. And then I work with the team as if they were working for Skanska, and basically have those conversations with them and build that loyalty to the project so that we can deliver a project that's on time, within budget, and is predictable. There's nothing worse than surprises. And in identifying these missing actions and missing conversations, people are actually pretty grateful that you would collaborate with them in that way, and that there would be a positive relationship there where we're not looking to embarrass anybody. We're trying to build the best high-performing team possible for your project. And I would just ask that you talk to our references and see what they might say if you haven't already. So this slide is really about managing the construction budget, and starting in the beginning of the feasibility study, we're really looking to long-term complete and build a reliable, durable budget. And what that means is, after we go through a couple of years of the study, after we go through design, after we go through construction, and then we close out the project, you want to know that the budget we gave you when you executed a project funding agreement with the Mass School Building Authority, that stood true over the test of time, and that there is no going back to the town and asking for more money. It's no, we're going to design the project to support the program, support your educational goals, and we're going to do it within your budget. So what we do is we'll develop clear and concise scope. We will have our internal resources doing constructability reviews. And what that's about is to make sure it's buildable, that it takes building operations into consideration, that the term value engineering, we like to think of it as value management, because sometimes you might decide to add something versus taking it away. And so it's a continuous process of not trying to identify the first solution, but the best solution. And so it's an iterative process, and we will do this several times during the schematic design as well as the feasibility study. And then we'll do it again as we get into design after the vote and we're actually completing the construction documents. So we have the ability of, as a construction manager, to understand benchmarking. We can look at historical costs, but we can also look at real-time marketplace costs. So for example, what's happening in the world right now? Well, sometimes there's an interruption to the supply chain. It can be COVID, it could be storms, and now there's, there were tornadoes in 13 states, and so there's rebuilding needs and competition for materials. It could be events like what just happened in the last week with the Suez Canal. So, or a new infrastructure plan from the federal government. But what we do is that we organize ourselves to understand really what is happening in the market in real time. And instead of being reactive, we're proactive and anticipating what's next. So we build realistic contingencies for the what if scenarios. We confirm that the project is being designed per the code, and we'll do through the team energy modeling and validation, looking at life cost analysis. We look at sustainability, very important part. The Mass School Building Authority offers 2% reimbursement. Those are real dollars in a project. If it was, $100 million, then to get 2% more reimbursement is a big deal. And our goal is to maximize your reimbursement. So we have one project I worked on where what we did is we designed strictly to the guidelines because money was a concern for this particular community, as it is for all communities, but very much so for this community. And what we did is we did maximize the reimbursement for them. Now, other communities may choose to say, we know we want a little more here and we're going to spend a little more money, but we're going to walk you through that process and you'll understand how it has an impact on your share of the costs of the project with the state.
Mary Ann, I also like to add to that in terms of the management of the budget, is that during construction, when there's a change order, Mike and I will be digging into it, where we'll look at what the change is, right? We'll see if there was in the scoping documents, checking the specs and the plans, and making sure that, that it was missed or, it is an actual change order. In addition, also part of the management of the budget is also looking at RFIs and making sure to see if, are there cheaper solutions or solutions that would accomplish the same but doesn't cost as much. So as the field rep and also as the senior project manager during construction, Mike and I will be the eyes and ears of the project budget.
That's right. And this team will be the steward for every dollar that's available to be spent appropriately. And
just a real time check. We only have 5 minutes left.
Oh, okay. So what you see here is a Reader's Digest version of the baseline schedule. I actually put together a much longer schedule, but what I was able to do here is to get to the 3 dates in the upper right-hand corner. What we did is we looked at the schedule postings for the OPM review panel. We looked at the scheduling for the designer selection panel and also the MSBA Board of Directors meeting. So what we've done here is given you a rough outline here of where you could be in your schedule. And if you go to the next slide, Dale, that was a very comfortable schedule, but we can always talk about how we could accelerate as well, that there are strategies for that. Right now, you're looking at a site plan here. You'll see the image in the foreground is the Northeast Vocational Technical High School. It's very good to know in analyzing the information out there that there is actually a road that will come down to Farm Street instead of relying strictly on Hemlock Road to pursue that. We also understand that there's, as you go up the hill, that there is a change in elevations and topography. And if you go to the next slide, Dale, what you'll see is that we will do massing concepts. We will look at the existing school. We'll look at renovations, additions, and we will also look at a new option. And so, for example, very similar to the topography of the Minuteman project that C&I recently completed, you'll see that you start with a simple box, and essentially where you look at the breaks in the topography, you look at where can you start to drop an elevation or a floor, et cetera. So these are the types of studies that we do in order to say, we don't want to put the money into the ground. We want to put the money into the long-term benefit of the building and the practices for your programming. So these are some of the creative ways that we look at something. Can we have a balanced site? But it starts with this kind of analysis, and then we review it with the team. Next slide.
All right. So yeah, we just got about 2 minutes left here. So Winchester High School, this is another OPM project for Skanska. It was a phase occupied 4 phases. This is a 3D model I mentioned earlier that we developed in-house. So basically the red shows construction. The lines out there show, parent drop off, pickup, first responders. And this model does spin, but it wouldn't do it on this Zoom call. So, but we do put it on the website. They can look at it. We model it around. So each and every phase, we did identify where we would be working. As you probably know, MSA is going to require you look at a large, what you call status quo, maintain the building. What Marianne was just showing a potential new option, and then this could be a phase occupied renovation. Again, Skanska has no preconceived notion. We're starting a clean slate. So again, these are just for presentation purposes only. So again, we won't know what option you are until you go through the study. We want to talk about net zero. We have a great job right now, Acton Boxborough. I'll quickly go through this. We have geothermal wells going in. The key with geothermal wells is early in the process, and for some reason, the design community, they really don't want to test wells. So we keep pushing them. We want to test wells and make sure the site can support geothermal. So Acton Boxborough, 100% Narrowset net zero, excuse me. It's a great site for geothermal. We did have a site that we did test wells. We knew there was contaminated soil, but unfortunately it actually leached into the rock. So when you export all the material, the payback wasn't acceptable. So unfortunately we had to take zero or geothermal off the books at the beginning of the design. So another great lesson learned with geothermal is have an independent third party. There's a couple sole proprietors out there to come in and just verify that the systems are going in, to verify that it's fully grouted and everything is done correctly. Rainwater, we're capturing rainwater for gray water and black water recharge, and they do have a septic system. So another great way to be green. Photovoltaics, another, with grants, you can put photovoltaic on the roof, you can do it underneath like parking. So there's a lot of great lessons that we have. And just construction, it's pretty standard in the industry now. It's just, 90% diversion rate. So we don't send anything to the landfill. But again, a lot of this is established day one. So best fit for Wakefield. We have one more slide after this. So hopefully you can see from our presentation. I know there's a lot of information, and we have an appendix after this with 20 more slides. So, with your questions, hopefully we can answer your questions with slides. Or so anyways, we did $1.7 billion in high school work, OPM, with the MSBA. We've actually worked on 17 total projects with the MSBA. 11 of them are high school projects. Our reputation, we take it serious. We want to be the next reference or have you be our next reference. Again, a lot of this we already talked about, experience with MSPA process, in-house cost estimating. In the one bullet I just want to highlight, the one on the bottom, we're ready to start. We're ready to hit the ground running. This team's available. Like I said previously, we would not be sitting here if we didn't have the team that is available. And again, it's a commitment through the long haul here. So this last slide, as you can see, these are all Skanska OPM projects. As you can see, we did 11 projects. Project cost $1.7 billion. We put in Wakefield's enrollment is 1,000 students. So you can see we have 5 high schools that are larger, and we also have 6 that are a little smaller. But if you look at the core, this falls perfectly in kind of our strike zone, if you will. We listed the architects on the right-hand side who we've worked with, the CMs and GCs on the far right-hand side. So we've worked with almost everybody. So again, well, thank you for the time, and we're at the appendix. So I think you have questions.
Yeah, thank you, Dale. Let me just, thanks. Just one question I have just to start with. Our town, about 8 years ago, built a middle school. And at that time, we went through the process with MSBA, and you didn't have the designer process that they have now. What has been your experience with the MSBA regarding the selection of a designer? Whereas before, we kind of picked a designer and they said yes so easily, but now it's a little different.
May I take this question, Dale? I used to serve on the Division of Capital Asset Management's DCAM Designer Selection Board for the state of Massachusetts for 6 years. I'm very familiar with the firms out there who do public construction design firms. In terms of the process, I think it's a very good process that they have. We certainly can write the RFP for designer services. We would suggest that you review it with your legal counsel. The MSBA will review it, and then we would advertise the project. We have a whole process for analyzing and evaluating that. We want to make sure that whoever is selected for the project has high school experience, that they have worked on projects of this scale, and that it's just not the firm's experience, but it's their team's experience. We don't care if somebody who worked for the company 10 years ago did a high school. We want the person they're proposing for your project did a high school. And so what we do is we check references, we check the proposals that are submitted, and we have a whole process to make sure that all of the mandatory required information is presented, that they've responded to the criteria that is outlined in the request for proposals, and that the process with the MSBA is that we will, meaning Skanska will sit down with your committee and review the applications, the references, put the matrices together, but we'll also send that information to the MSBA, and they will share it with their designer selection panel members as well. And then when you go to the designer selection panel meeting, which would be coming up after we've done our evaluation, there would be an interview actually targeting the August 3rd meeting where they would review the proposals, open meeting, public meeting, and then they would, that panel, we would have 3 voting members from Wakefield. They would have the balance of the remaining votes. And what would happen is then at the end of that, they would rank the firms and then make a decision about whether or not, depending on the ranking and how many votes, just in case it was clearly, overwhelmingly everybody thought this was the best firm, they would go to interviews 2 weeks later on August 17th. So 30 days after that, you could have your architect on board for the middle of September, because you would be able to, you have to give the architect up to 30 days to negotiate a contract. Sorry if I'm speaking too quickly.
That's all right. Any other members of the committee have questions? Anybody?
We have more slides.
Well, all right, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And we'll let you know. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your consideration.
I know.
Thank you for your time.
Bye-bye.
I just have one question. I'm looking at the participants, and as you know, I asked the other OPM applicants not to come on board beforehand, but on the list of participants, there's a participant called guest. Could that person identify themselves? I just don't want to make sure it's not one of the applicants or somebody from there.
Yeah. If they're, I can remove them if they're not gonna unmute themselves and tell us who they
Well,
are.
unfortunately, it's an open meeting, so,
I know that. That's why I
right,
just,
so we can't,
we can't cancel them, but I would like to know who they are, because if it's somebody who's an applicant and they're
Right,
on
right.
here, that's not fair.
Person might not realize they're named as guest.
We could do a quick roll call.
Joe, after the meeting, just so you're able to pull a participant list with emails used to sign in, so you'll be able to find out what email that guest is related to.
All right,
after the
Jason,
Yeah,
you have an assignment.
yeah. You'll have to do that from your account though, because
Oh,
I think
do.
Sherry. I think Sherry might have to do it.
yeah, whoever account this
Oh,
is.
really?
Yep. So there's an easy way. I mean, if you don't hear, I'm going to read off a list of names. If you don't hear your name called now, please unmute yourself and tell us who you are. So obviously me and Joe are here. Chip, Wayne, Janine, Bob, John McDonald, Mark Sardella, Natasha, Philip, Robin, Timothy, and Tom. If you have not heard your name, please unmute yourself and tell us who you are. So they're either not paying attention or they've chosen not to tell us who they are.
All right, I will have Sherry tomorrow. See, that's something she could probably do tomorrow.
Well, what we
Yeah,
can do,
as soon
we
as the
can
call's
put the
over,
person in a waiting room though. So if we can let them back in, but we can keep them in a waiting room. If they choose not to acknowledge who they are, that's something we can do.
That's something where I click on more,
Yeah,
assign to a closed caption, allow.
or put in waiting room.
All right.
You just put Bob in the waiting room. I'll bring him back in. Hold on a second. I'll
Being
put,
moved on me. All right.
the guest is now in the waiting room.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
What does that do?
Well, They can message us. So when the person decides to actually pay attention to what we're saying or realizes they're no longer in the meeting, they can send us a message through chat and then we can put them back in.
All right.
They can't see that. They can't see what's happening or hear what's happening.
No, they cannot.
Yeah, but is that,
Open meeting, I don't know. if we
yeah,
can
but the
do that.
open meeting may not be appropriate.
I would just let them in and we can have someone
All right.
research the email
Okay.
after the meeting, and then we can see at that point. You can find that set up as soon as the meeting's over if you want.
I'm admitting him, but I'm not happy. If it's somebody else that's on there, that's really,
We could message them. We could message them also in case they're not.
Jason, try to message them.
Yeah, I don't know if you have chat turned on. You can, at the bottom, do you see an option to chat, Joe? Because I don't see that right now.
No, I don't have it.
I want me to just do it.
Yeah, I don't have a chat.
I don't think there's a chat option, Janine.
Oh.
Turned off right now.
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't think there is.
okay. Oh, that's a bummer.
Well,
Hi,
we-
everybody.
We learn something at every meeting, isn't this?
Right?
fun?
Was it?
Hi, everyone. I'm Vivian with Hill International. My team will be joining us shortly. If someone can give me sharing rights, I'll be sharing my screen.
All righty.
You have the rights.
Thank you. All right. Can everybody see the screen well?
Yep.
Perfect. All right. How's everyone doing tonight? Has it been a long night already?
No, we're just getting going.
Oh, good.
Do the second one.
Okay, that's good.
Good evening. My apologies. My name is showing up as Natasha Miller. I'm actually Vincent Miller. I'm on a different laptop. I can
That's
sign
okay.
it properly.
Vinny, if you right click on your name, if you put your cursor on your name and right click on it, it gives you the opportunity to switch your name and put a hill behind it so that we can be identified as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All the little tricks and trades of of Zoom.
Yes, we're learning them too, the hard way.
Oh, it's okay. Everyone, it's a rite of passage. I'm actually excited because I was one of the early ones to adopt and use Zoom. And I kind of pride myself for being a technology geek. So I love it. I know most people can't say it, but you do definitely go through days of too many Zoom meetings where you just have a glazed look over your eye after a while.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
All right, it's 7:45. If you wish to begin, please do so.
Right. Just trying to see if we had everybody from our team on. Looks like we do.
I think we might be missing Paul. I'm just trying to look through
He's there.
everyone.
Nope, I'm here.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm just moving monitors around here.
All right, great.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We really appreciate you allowing us to come in this evening and present to you our owner's project management team. My name is Mike Carroll, and I'm with Hill International, and I'm the principal in charge on this project. I have a few capacities here as principal in charge. Obviously, I'm here to represent the corporate Hill, but in addition, first and foremost, I'm here to represent you as a district and to make sure that you have a fantastic project that gives you and your students everything that you need. To do that, there's several ways we can do that. My primary role as principal in charge is to really support our team and to assist our team in managing your project with you. And that team is a team that we've picked out here, and I think that you're really going to like them. I'm very excited about this team. I think they're a great, there's a great synergy with this team. But I'm also here to let you know that I'm always here for you to reach out to. You have our team there. The team's going to be your day-to-day contact. But if you want to call me up and tell me that our team is doing absolutely fabulous, I'm here for that. If you want to tell me that there's something that maybe we could do a little bit better, that's what I'm here for too. So we're really here to support you. The other duty I have tonight is I have the duty and the privilege here to introduce this team to you. And I'm really, like I said, excited to do that. So we're going to run through the agenda here with everybody, but let me start by just saying we are Hill International, but we are also Hill Local. The office that you're getting people from here is out of Needham. We've been working in the state of Massachusetts for over 27 years, and we've done dozens and dozens of public projects. More than half of those projects have been MSBA related projects. So we really have a grasp of what they need, what they're looking for. We've got 39 professionals in this office, and more than half of them are MCPPO certified. In fact, this whole team, all the key members of this team are. So we really, we have a good grasp of what is needed. And what we're trying to do here is give you a team that isn't just available, but that is actually has a skill set that will tie into what you need as a client, what we need to make your project successful. I do believe that we will be able to do that. This team has, on average, 25 years worth of construction experience per person in the industry. But more than that, we've been working together on average again for about 10 years per person with each other. So we've been working for the same company, the longevity there, and we really do know how to work together. We work together very well. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the team itself. Andy Felix is our project director, so he's the team leader. Andy comes with a vast experience, both from the contractor side and from the OPM side. He's done public work and private work and higher education. He's currently working on a project in Brookline, the Brookline High School, and he'll be talking about that a little bit further down the line. In addition to Andy, we've got Paul Callis as our design time construction project manager. Paul is an AIA architect. He's got a degree in architecture. He worked in design early on. He's been working as an OPM for a long time now. Paul has also worked with the SBA prior to the MSBA and now with the MSBA, and quite frankly has more MSBA experience than anybody else. I think as much or more than any team member that somebody can provide to you. So with that, Paul's experience is going to allow us to make sure that we meet all the key milestones and all the key dates and meet the processes and the procedures needed to follow the MSBA. In addition, Paul's going to be able to work with the designer and the stakeholders to make sure that we're hearing you and that we're giving you the project you need. Andy Vo is our project manager during the construction. That doesn't mean he starts with the construction. He's actually there from day one. He's going to be fiscal controls. He's the numbers guy. He has done a lot of MSBA projects, very familiar with the ProPay system and with the processes with that. And he's there to help with the value management and to make sure that we maximize the district's eligible dollars. That's a key component here, is maximizing the dollars that you're getting from the MSBA, so we're minimizing your dollars. As we read through the RFS, it was obvious that a concern of the districts was to get community buy-in, to sell the community on this project. When we got the project invitation, it was reiterated. So to that end, we've asked Vivian to come on and to speak a little bit about that, but just understand that this is not something that is unusual. This is not something that is unexpected. Pretty much every district we have has this same concern. We're used to working with districts. We're used to walking them through it. And this team is going to be able to hold your hand and walk you through this process to make sure that we're all getting to the finish line, which is ultimately an approved project, and a project that is a community project, not just a school project, not just a something for the high school or something like that. It's really a community supported project, not, you know, from every sense of the word, from funding and everything. So the last member of our team is our site manager. That's Vinnie Miller. A lot of people might say a site manager isn't really needed until the construction manager comes on. That's when his heavy lifting starts, but throughout the process of design, at key points, what we try to do is bring in our construction manager. They'll be able to give us key insights into constructability, logistics, safety, things of that nature. And that's what Vinny's going to be doing during this feasibility and schematic design phase.
Thanks, Mike. Again, good evening, everyone. Andy Felix here. I will be your project director. As Mike mentioned, myself, Paul, and Andy are currently working on a high school project in Brookline that we started in 2017, and it is slated to be completed towards the end of this year. So the timing works impeccably with the program that's presented with this project, should we be fortunate to work upon this. Just briefly about that project, it's a $200 million program in Brookline that includes 7 projects in different aspects of the campus, 3 separate GCs and CMs that we are helping the town manage. One building is 120,000 square foot academic building for 700 new students. And in addition, for STEM wing of 70,000 square feet in another area of the project of the campus. So it's a pretty large program that we are accustomed to working with the town of Brookline. You had mentioned a question about working with the Permanent Building Commission. I myself currently on the Brookline project, and then also envision here in the town of Wakefield. I currently work with the representatives from the Select Board, Building Commission, School Committee. They all represent 3 co-chairs that I report to in the town of Brookline. In addition to that, there's a town project manager, School Building Committee, as well as school administrative personnel that I all meet at different points in time, and sometimes twice a month, sometimes 3 times a month I meet with them to different capacities. So I'm accustomed to working with very involved clients and different committees that have different information that they need from us from the project. And what I do is essentially take that information and make sure that the project team is acting upon those sets of instructions that I receive from the building committee, as I would here in this envision here in this scenario. One of the things that we pride ourselves is understanding the client's needs right out of the gate, as well as in the case of this particular vision that you all have shared with us so far in the RFS of a new STEAM, performing and visual arts. Ironically, we've satisfied all of those same needs for the town of Brookline, and we're well under construction with only a few months away on different components of that project being completed. And that's how we see it here. Same components synergistically happening here once we understand the town's needs in Wakefield and the community input on this project. We look forward to bringing those dreams to fruition for this town. Some of the few examples that Mike mentioned earlier, 41 plus or minus MSBA projects that we've completed, some of which are represented here: Natick High School, Drake High School, East Bridgewater Junior and Senior High School, and here's a rendering of the Brookline High School. This happens to be the STEM wing that I referred to earlier. This will be completed in July for occupancy in September, and the other building I referenced, that's going to be completed this fall for occupancy at the beginning of the year. And as you will see, we've got extensive MSBA experience as we've included in our proposal package as well too. And I'll turn it over to Paul, who will drive you through the process of MSBA.
Thanks, Andy. Can folks hear me?
Yeah.
Yep, good, okay. So all of those projects that we've done have been approved and reviewed and gotten approvals from each of the towns in which that they took place. I just wanted to take a minute here to talk about that in relationship with the MSBA process. And it wasn't that long ago that you completed the Galvin Middle School and went through the same process. So you're probably pretty well aware of how it goes. I just wanted to just mention that the important part of the timeline here is going to be going into that preferred schematic report. And that's where all the most important decisions are made as far as the big characteristics of the building, its size, grade configuration, it's just its general character. And that's the part that folks want to be part of in the decision making as they, before they go out and vote for the project half a year later after schematic design. So it's real important during that process to collect as many comments and get the understanding from all the stakeholders at that time and get it documented so that it's well known that all of these ideas about the project and what characteristics that it has gone through a public process. And Vivian's going to talk about that a little bit more, but it's real important to get this done in that portion of the in getting the preferred schematic report completed, because that's when the real big decisions are made. And of course, from doing the Galvin Middle School, the complexity and confusion of getting the grant offer from the MSBA and what's eligible, what's ineligible. And one of the things I think distinguishes us is from all the experience that we've had doing these, that we know some of the various ways to where there might be some more eligible parts of the design that could get funded by the MSBA. For instance, at the East Middle School in Braintree, it's a middle school. The MSBA doesn't reimburse for auditoriums. You probably learned that when you did Galvin. However, it was an existing auditorium, and we didn't have we weren't programmed to put a stage in the cafeteria, so that amount of square footage became eligible in the for the East Middle School, which is about $1 million more eligible funds that helped out the town. We've got some other examples of that as well. But the budget is the big.
Hi, I'm Andy Vo. I'm project manager.
Item and
So I'm Andy Vo. I'm project manager for the past 14 years. I've worked on mostly MSBA project, and I've done over $1 million on MSBA project. And not only working with MSBA project manager, but I am very familiar with the MSBA auditing team. So with my experience, I can bring to the project is the experience with the MSBA process, MSBA invoicing, ProPay code, ProPay reimbursement, MSBA monthly report, the change order, and all the deliverable throughout the process. And the most important thing is closing out with the MSBA. We try to help you. We will help you try to close out with the MSBA as quickly as possible and get the maximum reimbursement. Here's an example that I would like to share is our reporting tool is the dashboard, which we will be using it to report to the building committee. It's a snapshot of all the project budget, the schedule, the cost reporting, the cash flow. Also, like I said, this is a snapshot of our overall budget that we keep track of the ProPay reimbursement, change order, and we can customize this tool to fit with your high school project. Here's also another example of the risk register. This is a tool that we use to manage risk throughout the project. We will identify what kind of risk and how it's going to impact the project. It's not only impacting the cost, sometimes it could impact schedule, quality. So this tool will help us identify and mitigate it by avoiding, delegating, or reducing the risk. Sometimes we may have to accept the risk as well, but we want to identify it as early as possible so we can mitigate it. Some of the risk here are identify red as in high risk, yellow as in medium risk, and green as low risk. Here's a partial list of our lead project from Hill. So currently Swampscott and Concord are in design and they're proceeding for net zero ready. And they're targeting for an EUI of 25 or below. And also they're also reviewing passive house approach, which is important and a very interesting project. Two ongoing projects are the Hosmer and the Conniff project from Watertown. And, the town of Watertown are pursuing their own solar panels. So in this case, we will be looking at all incentive, also looking at if there's any PPA for your project. Not only that, but we will review incentive from the MSBA, try to get you the maximum reimbursement rate, see if there's any type of utility company incentive, rebate. Also, we will work with the community to get their input on sustainability for your project.
Good evening. My name is Vincent Miller. I am a licensed CSL and I'll be the job site manager. I'd like to take a minute to tell you a little bit about myself. I am local. I live in Middleton. I attended Northeast Regional as a kid. I've been going up and down Hemlock Road for a long, long time. Familiar with Wakefield. My son works at the Quinnapawet Industrial Park, and my wife and I walk the lake often. Give you a little idea. I've been with Hill, as all of us have been, for about 10 years in one capacity or another. We've worked together, integral with each other time and time again. Some of the projects that we're on, we speak often of Watertown, Braintree, Lexington, Peabody, Middleton. My beginning with Hill is a little unique from everybody else. Prior to me working for Hill, I was a client of Hill. Like you, I sat on the Middleton Building Committee. And during that time, I built the Howell Manning Elementary School. So I value the role that you folks take. I feel like I can see through your eyes because I've sat in your seat. I see the doubts. I see how I have to talk to my neighbors and friends each time we get together. So in building a project, I think all the stakeholders at a time, not just the designers and the contractors, but the principal, the teachers, that neighborhood person who's going to sit and watch us build this building every single day and going to have 100 questions. Every project has one. Those are the things I focus on. My style is firm, fair, and consistent. I'm a bit of a bull. I strive to get the highest quality for every facet of the job, from the foundation to the punch list at the end. My job is mostly focused on the technical side. It's quality assurance, quality control. I coordinate with the MSBA's commissioning agents and the testing agencies that have to come through. Always trying to have everybody working together. Having a true collaborative project is key for me. I am deep in the woods. I am in the mud when we're pouring foundations. I'm on the roof when we're setting the PVC roofing. I'm there every step of the way, and I'm comfortable that I can give you the highest quality project that you have, and understand that I can reach out to all parties, stakeholders of all types, and protect Wakefield to the best of my ability. That's the main course of my job site role.
Thank you, everybody. And I am so very excited to be here tonight. It was only up until a year ago that I was a resident of Wakefield, living right off of Hopkins Street near Prospect. My daughter, similarly, as Vincent just mentioned, my daughter took her first steps around the lake. So I know the town, and I'm still known by name at the bread shop that you will see me usually every Wednesday or Thursday, and as well as the Sweet Bay down the street. What I'm most impressed is the form of questions that you guys submitted to us and would love for us to answer. In regards to community engagement, it is on everyone's forefront. It is constantly on everyone's mindset, as well as the MSBA, believe it or not. The MSBA will be hosting their upcoming April roundtable discussion on this very topic, where both Paul and I will be presenting on the matter. On how do we engage the community and how do we do it during this process in a time of a pandemic where now everything has turned into virtual. Believe it or not, there are some good things that have come out of the virtual arena. Some of the things we are able to achieve are unlike those that we were able to do it in the traditional sense. Not only will we partner with you, but we will also partner with the Wakefield cable access channel to make sure that all of our community engagement and all of our forums are publicized. Not only with that, but social media has played a huge role. Facebook Live, Zoom that we're all on tonight, as well as websites, flyers, mailers, postcards, everything and anything, including farmers markets. It is not uncommon for us to reach out to the community. Actually, one of the ways that Hill sets themselves apart from any of their competitors is that we believe that this is not just a school project. It is definitely a community project. Let's face it, it's the town's kids and the town's children that will be attending this high school. And our main audience isn't the high school students or their parents. It's actually the elementary school grouping. Because by the time this project not only gets underway, gets funded, and is built, it's the elementary school students that are going to be attending. So we need to make sure that they are well represented and they feel that this project is about them and for them. One way we do that is our belief in engaging with you as a building committee from the beginning. Communicate often and communicate early. That is always the way to succeed for any project, whether it be virtually or in person. We would love to set up a subcommittee, a communication subcommittee. I'm here to support not only my team, but to support the district. As soon as we have the designer selected, I will get started working with the design team, with the subcommittee, as well as my team in general to come up with a marketing strategy. It is definitely a marketing plan. We need to figure out where Wakefield's mindset is and how we can communicate best to them. We need to hear from the community. What is their main topic of concern? Every community is different. Some communities, traffic is the biggest item on their list. Others, it's that they want to make sure that this is a moving forward 21st learning environment. And some even want to make sure that there's a community component within the building and how it relates to them. We believe in engaging with the community, gathering all of this information, bringing it back to the larger group and helping you figure out a project charter. This project charter will always come in handy, and especially when tough decisions are needed to be made, as they will be as you progress along the line. With that, every step of the way, we take the charter, we present it to the community, listening to them and fine-tuning and refining the plans. Our approach is very simple. Engage early, engage often, listen to what the community has to say. This isn't only a building committee project. This isn't only a school project. It's truly a Wakefield project. And we understand that, and we live it on a day-to-day basis. Listening to the community is how we make the plans better and the drawings so much more representative of the town. Listening, presenting, getting their input, refining the plans, and representing. On a monthly basis, we should be meeting with them to help them understand where we are on the process and what they have to look forward to. We're skilled facilitators. We will be there for you and we will hold your hand and walk through all of the ups and downs of this project together. We believe in engaging in the community and the various stakeholders, listening to everyone, and pay attention to the little things because they matter to you. They definitely matter to us.
Thanks, team. And in conclusion, certainly, as you can see from our team presentation, we are excited to work with you in a collaborative manner to guide you through the process of this journey to realizing the dream and the vision of this high school that it deserves. And I believe we are positioned not only with the experience that we have just gone through with Brookline High School and other projects to take you to your destination of a completed project. And then with that, we'll open up with questions.
I do have to share, this is a picture I took. And thank you.
Thank you. There were a couple other questions that were members of the committee would like to ask. If this is a long-term duration project, essentially how stable is your team and what is the backup plan if someone has to leave?
So I said at the beginning that I'd step back and let the team answer, but maybe as the principal in charge here, I'll take that. So I would say our team is very stable. I mentioned at the outset here that we've got a very experienced team here. On average, we've been with the company for 10 years, every member of this core team. I think Paul is the most senior on the team here with almost 20 years experience with our company, with this company. So we really do feel that we have a long-term team here. As for a backup plan, we have a lot of individuals in our office, and we have the ability, not just as a backup, but maybe during a pre-qualification process where you get an extra large number of applicants in, we can ramp up the team for a short time, bringing other people in, and then ramp it down as needed. So we have a qualified team here and a strong bench to support it.
Another question that asks, what makes your OPM company unique in comparison to other OPMs?
Vivian, can you take that? And then I'll add to it.
Absolutely. What makes us different is that our belief in engaging the community. Every OPM firm has all of the same requirements. Everybody does managing the process as far as the billables and the spreadsheets well. But what sets us apart is our belief in engaging the community first and foremost. We understand that this is a community project. With that, we will be engaging the community very early on to help lead this project into success. We work with you to setting up not only a communication subcommittee, but also thinking about how do we get to the yes vote moving forward. You shouldn't be thinking about getting the approval from the town months before the approval time period and the town meeting. You have to start that from the very start, from the very beginning. And we go in with that type of a mindset and help you establish a plan that is specific to your needs, to your community, and what people have concerns in town. Looking at the project charter is a way for us to engage the community and also learn from them. What I love most is when the community has a strong opinion, because with those strong opinions comes strong convictions. And from that, you learn where the community stands and what we need to do to pivot, to be flexible, and to address those concerns in order to make sure that this project is successful.
Thank you. One last question that asked, how does your company envision working with the Permanent Building Committee, who is a representative of the town, is a very involved owner?
I'll take that one. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, certainly we are well versed with working with committees that are very vocal and very actively involved. Our experience recently in Brookline, as I mentioned before, there are several committees that I report to in different capacities. What we would do in Wakefield and your group is to fully understand and engage who are the decision makers. If it's just this committee, and we take input from the school committee members and the various different groups in town. Certainly each community and district operates differently. So we would be very interested in understanding how Wakefield works. And we take you through that journey by giving you information when you need it in a timely manner.
I also have another question, and then I'll go to the rest of the committee and anybody else that has one. I'm about 8 years ago, we dealt with the project of the middle school, and the MSBA process for selecting a designer was a lot different than it is now. What has your experience been with that selection process?
Paul, would you like to take that one?
Sure. Well, as you know from the experience before, one thing that I don't believe has changed in that time is that it is a committee, the designer selection committee at the MSBA is like 12 members, and 3 members are from the town. And so you've got a significant block of votes in that committee. But what's important is that that committee goes to, or those 3 members representing Wakefield goes with a strong idea about which designer that they feel is going to be the designer that's going to do the best work for them. And that comes from the review of the proposals that come from the designers, and perhaps some personal experience that the committee has. And it's very important to make that known. And in almost all of the designer selection committees that we've been to, the committee as a whole has wound up going with the designer that the community brought as being the one that they thought was going to be the best choice and the big difference maker for them being able to make the project successful.
But there have been some where they have not chosen the preferred option.
Yeah, I'm sure that it's happened. But by and large, it's been pretty successful with our projects.
Actually, I just recently went through the same designer selection committee with the town of Swampscott, where the town had one preferred option, and they were, the community and the committee for the selection really does listen to the superintendent and really does listen to the community, and making sure that the community has the right architect to represent them. The more vocal you can be, and the more you can iterate that the selection you're making is the one that's right for you, the more they listen to you. It's a little bit of prep behind the scenes, but it is possible, and I've seen it happen.
Okay. Other members of the committee and the group have a question? Any questions?
I have a question, Joe, if I could.
Absolutely, Mr. Tarbell.
Good evening, all. Thank you for coming tonight. It's easy to tout successes, right? We're all pretty easy to talk about our successes. Tell me about one of the toughest projects you've had and how you got through it.
I can take that. There's a component of the Brookline project that is pretty tough, and I'll be as brief as I can. Part of the building that's 120,000 square feet is actually being built over the MBTA green line. So part of the outset of the project, we had to help the town negotiate an easement, air rights easements with the MBTA in order to build that part of the building. And we now see it because we're past the process of actually building it. When you sit in the cafeteria, you can actually look across to the open field. The challenge has been, since COVID hit, none of us were prepared for the lack of support. In order to build within the train right of way, we have to rely on the MBTA in order to provide us access. That's been a challenge to the project, but yet every step of the way we've communicated to the town, back to the MBTA as best as we can, and have allowed the project to happen in stages differently than the original plan. So it's been difficult to get through that process because none of us expected the pandemic and therefore an impact to the MBTA support. But we've been able to accommodate the revised schedules that the MBTA has provided to us in order for us to catch up on the schedule. So with that said, the project, that particular building will be delivered a little bit later than expected, but that's a unique situation where the town is reliant on an outside entity to provide the access to allow that part of the building to be built. So it's been a challenge, but we've surmounted them with some collaboration with the team.
Great. Thank you, Andy.
Welcome.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I've got another one. What are your guys' views on, is there such a thing as a great set of plans? And what do you think, and how do you handle contingencies and change orders? And what's your view on them? I, for one, should think there should never be a change order, but I'm kind of an old school type of guy.
Well, I'm going to start this one by just saying that a set of building plans and specifications is kind of like school in that it is a test. It is a test with probably 1 million questions in it. And so invariably, nobody gets all 1 million questions completely right. But what...
You're an architect by trade, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, I was.
Yeah, okay. That was an architect's answer. That's for sure. There are no such things as perfect drawings. I hear that all the time.
But what we do
and
is
I happen to agree with
them.
you. I'm only busting a little bit, but
if I could jump in for a quick minute on the building.
We collaborate with the design team. We do.
Go ahead, Paul.
Go ahead, Van.
We do a exhaustive design review during each of the milestones of the project. We put together voluminous amounts of comments, trying to catch as much as we possibly can as the drawings are being done at the different milestones. And we know that there's going to be some changes. We try to make sure that we've got contingency to be able to address them. And with that risk register that Andy Vo was presenting to you, we look at where those places might be, where some of those risks might occur, and prepare for them so that at the end of the day, we end up on budget or under budget. Most of the time we're under budget. So anyway.
Chip, if I could follow through on that, during the process of the construction, we're probably going to see some items. If I remember down below, if we go across the street, down below the football field, it's a little wet over there. So there might be a soil condition that we might have to face. But we run a conservative ship. I can tell you, Mike and I just wrapped up in Braintree, where every single proposed change order gets dissected down to the material, down to each man hour, down to the condition, and gets vetted with the strongest of eyes. So the thought set is along your thinking of no change order should happen, but when they come across and they're fair and legitimate, they are addressed, they're vetted for hard dollars and not just rubber stamped. And earlier I was saying in mine, I'm a bit of a bull. I think anybody who has gone on the other end of my change orders will agree with me that I'm a bit of a bull.
I can attest.
That's okay.
I work with Vinny on Watertown projects, and he's a tough nut to crack.
Good.
All right, any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
The opportunity.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Make sure they don't steal the screen.
We're all right.
No, we're good. You really think I'd do that again, right, Chip?
I do. Yep. That's, at least you understand where I'm coming from, Joe.
I certainly do. All right, just to remind everybody, I sent the email out. The scoring is 20% on the written proposals, which you've already done and sent to Chip previously. 5% is the references, which I have had the unique pleasure of calling for the past 4 or 5 days. And I've gotten some, and I'll report them tomorrow night as to the numbers that I got and the responses. But 70% is a score based on these interviews. A score is between 1 and 100. Does everybody understand that?
Joe, and there's been a couple questions. There is no score sheet.
No.
So just read the criteria that Joe sent around, and it's one number between 1 and 100.
You got it.
It's based on the questions, key personnel, their questions, and I forgot what the other one was. All right.
Yep.
Dawn,
So just out of curiosity, Joe, the timeline that Hill shared, are we honestly not looking at getting this on town meeting until September of 2023? Is that like a standard time frame, or was that their guess?
I think that's their guess.
Okay.
However, it is going to be a while.
Yep.
So because we have to go through the whole feasibility again.
I mean, you have to
again.
You have to do about 5 different alternative designs.
Yep.
That's going to take a long time.
Mm.
And then you get to the preferred option. They had a preferred option in July 2022. I thought that was almost too early.
I think that's realistic.
I don't know. I'll tell you,
it's a process.
Yeah. It's a
But
long.
we'll talk more about, Jason. There may, we may not have to reinvent the wheel from the beginning, depending on who we pick as a.
With you, I'm with you.
Yeah, that's the problem, folks. It's who the MSBA picks. It's not who we pick.
We're 3 of 15 voters.
Yeah. Which if you do the math, you're not in the majority. And you don't have a filibuster either.
Just so I'm clear, when do we need to get these 5 scores to Chip?
There's not 5 scores, there's 1 score.
No, there's 5 scores, 5 interviews by Wednesday night.
All right. From 1 to 100.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Easy.
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 You've got 2 done already.
That's just a broad spectrum of numbers. You get a 79 or an 86 or a 1. I don't know.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. I'm waiting until tomorrow night, right? You'll see all 5, and then you'll figure out who's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then just give them a number.
All right. Anybody else got any questions?
Doran Whittier here.
Not yet. My email says don't click on until 8:30.
So they're being very good.
I'll follow directions.
Good.
Yep.
All right, I will be right back.
You have 1 minute.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
When does like the school committee, the superintendent get involved in this process? Is it after the OPM?
They don't. It's us. In the OPMs?
Or just talking to them and developing things
Oh, that
later on?
Yeah, that's the long and winding road.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey, Terrence.
Hi.
Good evening.
You can call me Terry.
All right.
Call me Terrence. I'll turn around and look for my father. I'm thinking my colleagues will be joining shortly.
I see some.
Good evening.
There's Mike.
Mike,
Yeah, I got a couple mics.
hey, Trip. We've got
Yes.
Burton. Got Doran Whittier Architects, so that must be multiple people.
Yes, I'm not quite sure who logged in under that. Could be Terry.
It looks like Rachel.
Might be me.
Oh, it's Rachel. Okay. Well, not to skip Rachel. Well, you all look like you're still bright and chipper. It's sort of a long night.
Well, you're the third interview we've had, so.
You okay? We'll try to keep it entertaining.
There you go. All right. Is everybody there?
We're all here.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
Okay, I guess the first question is, Mike, do you have the reins to pull up
Yeah, who's
presentation?
It's gonna be Mike Cox, please.
all right?
Mike Cox needs the con.
There you are.
Thank you, sir.
Well,
Let me get up the
there we go. That looks familiar. Well, my name's Trip Elmore. I first want to thank you for the invitation to present our qualifications to your committee. No, it's 8:30, but we really are very excited about the opportunity to be your OPM. Obviously, it's been in our firm's radar for over 6 years now, and we are very excited. I will be your project director. As you know, Doran Whittier is both the OPM and architectural services firm. I think there was some questions about why we went after this from an OPM perspective. We chose the OPM services route because we saw the opportunity to bring both aspects of our company to your project and have the team expertise available to best service this particular project. This also plays in a little bit. The selection of your OPM is mostly independent to you guys. You do have to go in front of the OPM selection board, but it's not the same as the architect selection. You show up and you get 3 votes and you're 3 out of 13 votes. So there are no guarantees that you're going to get a designer that you want for your project. So we looked at this and we really wanted to be a part of your team. So we thought this was the best avenue to pursue at this point in time. Also, the timing for this project is perfect for Doran Whittier Management Partners. You know, we are a North Shore firm minutes away with staff living in Wakefield. And we have the capacity to dedicate this full team to your project immediately. So fit is wonderful for us. Mike, you want to go to the next slide? We're going to introduce individually ourselves and give you a little bit of background. I'll start with myself and pass over to Mike Burton. For 20 years, I've worked for 2 of the largest construction firms in the United States, one being Turner in Boston as head of their OPM group. So my background is based in the construction industry, where I've been exposed literally to some of the most complex projects. And in over the 35 years that I've been, been doing this, I've been a builder, I've been an owner's project manager, and really been an advocate for my owners. And it's because of this experience that I've gained the insight to better deliver projects, able to anticipate issues better, make detailed plans to ensure desired outcomes, and really solve issues before they become bigger ones. In 2011, I started the OPM business for Doran Whittier. The vision for the firm then, and it's still true today, is leveraging the Doran Whittier architectural experience and resources in public school projects, and combine that with the construction expertise that I and Mike Burton have to bring superior service to our clients. Our business model then and now is primarily focused on Massachusetts public school projects that partner with the MSBA. So this is right in the heart of where we work. Foundation of our business is based on a team approach to bring the best resources possible from both sides of our company to our projects, as well as bringing the best resources from our staff to our projects. We are innovators in the mass school building industry and have developed many control and process management formats to transparently manage our jobs. Consequently, many of these tools have been copied by our competitors. One competitor once told me it was the biggest form of a compliment. Well, you know, we really have invested a lot of energy into trying to be the best at the MSBA school business. My experience related to your project is significant. I've managed 2 high school projects. In doing so, you know, I understand what you need for a team. We've proposed the best team that we can possibly bring, and they bring very relevant facility knowledge and strategic awareness of the options you're likely to consider. We will be in a unique position because of the studies that were done by Doran Whittier Architects to accelerate your project because of this knowledge, our previous experience with similar high school projects and knowledge of the MSBA process. We think we can get you started faster, and that's a real benefit. We appreciate, though, that you have good working relationships with other firms. And I offer a comment by Diane Trad, who's the Director of Development in the city of Lowell. And I quote, working with Doran Whittier has set the bar higher than other companies have been able to meet. It is in the attention of detail and ability to plan for issues in advance and overall construction knowledge that make the difference. It's noticed by many within the city. And the city of Lowell was working at the time with 3 OPMs simultaneously, and they were all reporting back through the city manager's office. So they had a position to see differences between the firms. And we hope we can touch you tonight. Anyhow, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike.
Thanks, Trip, and good evening, everybody. My name is Mike Burton, and I will be your senior project manager. A little bit about myself. I have 28 years of construction experience. I've been a partner with Doran Whittier for the last 9 years. Before coming to Doran Whittier, I came from Turner Construction's K-12 OPM group, and I was with Turner for around 15 years or so. I first performed as an OPM about 20 years ago. This was a design bid build project with the SBA. This was before they were the MSBA. So I've been working with them for quite a long time. This was a large high school project with an enrollment of 1,850 students, and this was a phased occupied ad reno project. I also had the opportunity to work on a new high school project with a newly formed MSBA back in 2007. And this was a new large high school project, and it was the MSBA's first CM at risk and first LEED certified project. More recently, I've been project director for another high school project, which was an occupied and phased renovation of a 300,000 square foot facility. So I've worked on high schools using all of the building solutions that you're going to be required to study by the MSBA. As you know, you're required to explore reno, ad reno, and new. I've done them all, and we're going to help. I'm going to help this committee understand the pros and cons of each, and as we go through the evaluation of options. I'm very hands-on. I will attend all the meetings. I'll be involved from the day of award through final audit. I come with net zero experience from the Lexington Hastings project. My focus will be on risk management, scheduling, logistics, cost control, change order review and negotiation. And along with Terry, I'm going to provide building oversight during the construction phase. I have worked with permanent building committees in my past, and I've developed some great relationships with them, and I hope to do so here. And ultimately, my role for you is going to be to manage the work and the deliverables of our team. Thank you. Christina.
Christina's mic on.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Christina Delangelo, project manager with Dorn Whittier. I've been in the construction and the design industry for the last 15 years, and I've worked on 6 school projects in the Commonwealth, 4 of which were MSBA core projects. My role as a project manager is to be a facilitator, bridge, and driver between us and the project team. I will work hand in hand with the team that you see here today throughout the life of the project from beginning to end. I will help drive the project through every milestone and through the MSBA process. This includes working with your working groups, the PBC, budget, schedule, and community meetings and involvement throughout the life of the project. I've had the pleasure with working PBCs and SBCs in the past, and I'm currently working on a school project with an 18-member SBC with many industry professionals. They are extremely involved in the project and have been since day one. Many members of this SBC have worked on previous construction school projects in their past, and I've been told that they view us as an extension of their team, and our level of customer service exceeds anything they've experienced in the public sector. I look forward to working with you and your team on this project. With that, I'll turn it over to Mike Cox.
Thanks, Christina. So my name is Mike Cox. As you'll see on the screen, I will be your project manager controls. Since I joined Dorn Whittier, I've had the privilege to work on 4 different MSBA jobs, all of different magnitudes in this role that I will serve for you. And my role will really be maintaining the budget from the conception of our contract all the way through final audit with the MSBA. I'll be utilizing our proprietary budget system, which Tripp had kind of referenced earlier. And we call it the dashboard. The dashboard is a highly detailed and transparent online mirror of the MSBA's ProPay system. And the beauty is we will issue a personal login to access the budget at real time from day 1 through the end of the project. I'll also be working with you and ultimately handle the responsibility of the monthly MSBA submissions to both maximize your refund and speed of your reimbursement with accuracy and timely submissions. With that, Terry.
Terry, you don't have your mic on.
Yep, there we go. Sorry,
There you
folks.
go.
Good evening, everyone. And hello again. My name is Terry Hartford. As you can see in the proposal, I'll be your on-site project manager during construction. And just by way of background, prior to joining Dorn Whittier, I spent 25 years basically as a project manager developing, building power plants pretty much throughout the United States and around the world. I've actually performed this role on 2 MSBA projects, one the occupied renovation that Mike referenced earlier, as well as a phased construction of the new elementary school. So both MSBA projects. And you know, you can probably guess what my role is, and when we're on site, it's working on behalf of the owner, and you know, whichever path you go down, there is going to be issues that arise, and what my role is really to work with the design team, with the CM, some of the larger subs, to address those issues and to ensure that frankly you get what was designed for. And so we do that through, you know, a collaborative effort. It's a team approach, but you know, construction projects can get messy a little bit, and you need to be able to thoughtfully work through those issues. And so what we, you know, Christina mentioned extension of your staff, you know, we want to resolve issues. We need to gain your trust so that you realize what your project should be at the end of the day. And so a lot of things that Mike referenced earlier, you know, whether it's CCDs, RFIs, ASIs, field orders, all that kind of falls into my responsibility, working with the various stakeholders. And so it's something I would love to do on this project. And so that's effectively what my role would be. So with that, I'll just turn it over to Rachel. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel Donner. I am the Assistant Project Manager.
Since joining Dorn Whittier, I've worked on 3 MSBA jobs with this team in Lexington, Manchester, and Peabody. My role on the Wakefield High School project would be working directly with the project managers and assisting them with communication and proper documentation. I will provide documentation for all of our meetings and conference calls. These meeting minutes are critical and they ensure transparency with team members as well as the community. We have seen previously that these components lead to a successful partnership, and I'm truly looking forward to collaborating and working with this committee.
Thank you, Rachel. So we're going to jump right into the questions. By the way, Joe or the rest of the committee, if you want to jump in at any point in time, please don't hesitate to do so. We're happy to work with you versus just speak to you. So up to you. But with that, we'll go through your 4 questions. And the first one being, how does your company envision working with the PBC, who, as representative of the town, is a very involved owner? That's a pretty easy one. We really, really welcome working with an involved owner, and our most successful projects have been with owner organizations that are both knowledgeable and very engaged in their project. You actually get into trouble when you don't have a very knowledgeable owner or an engaged owner. We understand that it's our job to provide you with our thoughts, our recommendations, and those will all come out, in the permanent building committee meetings. But at the end of the day, we work for you. So we have to listen and we have to react, and we have to steer based on the direction we get from you as a group. Now, we didn't, walk into this saying, well, we know it all. We certainly don't. So we have to get to know you. But in preparation for the project, we have spent time with our architect side discussing your project, your goals, concerns, and how your committee works and what's it like working with your committee. And the bottom line that came back from them is that they, were very, very thrilled to have had the opportunity to work with you, and said, it's really great working with them. They are a very engaged owner. And that's going to help make this project more successful. So congratulations to you. We've also done a little time, digging into the video files, and we've spent hours watching your PBC meetings dating back to January to try to get a sense of what are your expectations from the team members and specifically from the OPM. So we've sort of done homework that we feel helps us understand how to work with you, and we welcome it. Ultimately, as has already been said, and we're going to repeat several of these topics, but ultimately we're an extension of you, and we need to anticipate your needs, understand the questions you may ask, have a good understanding of the expectations you have for your OPM, and as well the rest of the project team, because we always want to show up prepared, ready to engage in the details that make the difference as the project unfolds. One of the other tools that we set up in 2012, again, it's common now, but in 2012, these didn't really exist. We initiated the use of, at that point, it was SBC, or in rare cases, a PBC subgroups, which we labeled as working groups, obviously focused on specific aspects of the project. And you currently use the working group model in Wakefield, as we've seen on your various projects. So if we came on board, we'd recommend that once you get the OPM on board, you form a couple of these. One is communications, education is a big piece, because we have to do the educational plan prior to the architect getting on board. Facilities is always a real beneficial one, and finance, you always are watching the money. So we would work very actively and be very helpful with these groups. We have all sorts of ways that we form them and give you examples of what's being covered with them in our documentation describing the working groups. But we would be very helpful with the PBC in getting those started. Christina's recently done it in Manchester. I think she can give you some examples there as well.
Yeah, as Tripp has outlined, we have utilized working groups in all of our projects. We're very familiar with it, and we know you are. So working groups are a bridge between the PBC, teachers, staff, students, parents, etc., all in the different stages of the project. It allows the individualized group to meet and discuss the topic, provide feedback, and make a recommendation to the PBC. For an example, in the Manchester Essex School District, we were working on an elementary school project there. And from the beginning of the project, we created a budget collaboration working group. And so we review the total project budget with that group on a monthly basis. It includes a review of contingencies, amendments, contracts, expenditures, and review potential forecast change requests. So we're providing a potential risk and reviewing expenditures against contingencies. As a result of this working group, we're able to provide a bottom line number to the owner with a successful update and recommendation from the subcommittee. It makes the process as transparent as possible with the owner from day one. That's really what's so important about us creating these working groups with you.
Yeah, and so as I said, schedule is sort of one of my things, and I'm mindful of the time here. So I'm going to suggest, Tripp, that we go right to question 2.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so this is a long duration project. How stable is your team? What is the backup plan if somebody were to leave? Well, understanding the importance and the duration of this project, we address this as a key strategy and advantage for Doran Whittier. To display our commitment to stability of our team, we've assigned 2 partners in the leadership roles to better support the project. Mike and I will be assigned to the project, and you will see equal involvement from both for the life of the project. Both of us have acted as project directors on prior projects, but with the MSBA, you can only have one. So I will be your project director. Mike is the senior project manager. You effectively have 2 partners who are both able to perform the leadership role on your job. We have successfully used this approach before in Newton and recently in Lexington. This strategy guarantees the owner principal involvement at all times. I can't imagine any of our competitors are likely to offer this kind of leadership. I am going to back it up with I'm available and ready to dedicate 100% of my time to this project, and I can start tomorrow. I promised and delivered on this 100% time commitment recently in the project that I just finished in Lowell. If you're checking references, please ask them. I literally said I'd start tomorrow, and I did, and I finished their job in 2 years. With the senior leadership covered by me and Mike, we would then rely on Doran Whittier's collective resources should there be a need to fill a position on our team. I want to say, though, we've never chosen to change staff on a project based on workload or new work. It's not how we operate. We commit the people you see here today, and they will show up and be a part of your project. With that, we can go to question number 3.
Okay, so I'm going to take this one, and this is really talking about, how do we sell the project and ultimately get a vote? And so achieving a successful vote on any project is obviously one of the most critical elements, and that has to be planned for from day one. We've helped towns, cities, and regional school districts all achieve successful votes. We're proud to say that we have never had a project that we were the OPM on fail to achieve a passing vote. Some of the strategies we employ to get a vote passed is we think it's extremely critical to, right out of the blocks, involve local officials and key town stakeholders as early as possible. And this can be, in addition to this group, town council, town administrator, school committee, FinCom, other key members. We need to get the information about the project out as soon as possible. And what we do is we provide a building history. We talk about the original construction, projects that have been undertaken throughout the years, current deficiencies, and current issues. We want to educate everybody about the needs of the project, why we're here, and then we want to define the scope of the project. In addition, discussing the benefits of partnering with the MSBA, describing their process, and reviewing their grant program is going to be hugely important. We will provide a timeline and cost projections early, and this will allow for financial planning. We'll review a bonding and borrowing plan, identify potential impact to taxpayers, and then lastly, we need to educate everybody on the financial risks if the vote were to fail, meaning continued maintenance, costs, escalation if the project was delayed, losing your place in line with the MSBA. In addition to the key stakeholders or the town stakeholders, there's a community as a whole, and they're a huge piece of this, obviously. And so in addition to everything I just talked about, when it comes to community involvement, they need to understand the goals of the PBC. They want to understand how and why decisions are made, and ultimately we'll hold a series of community meetings and provide opportunities for their involvement. There's many methods or tools for community outreach, and Christina's going to walk through them, but ultimately we believe that this approach and being fully transparent with all the stakeholders is what's going to lead to a successful vote for this project. All of these services are included with our proposal, and we're going to work with this PBC to establish a method that works best for this particular community. So Christina?
Yes, so on the screen, you'll see right now, there's two different websites that we helped develop for two projects, one being Blue Hills and one being Manchester Memorial. The Blue Hills website we developed specifically and designed for informing the communities about their project. Blue Hills is a 9-district town and city school that required funding approval from all. We regularly update the project website to include important information from agendas, meeting minutes, schedules, calendars, community flyers and forums, and upcoming dates and milestones. For the Manchester Memorial Elementary School project on the bottom of the screen, we worked with the district on providing the information to them to update their own website. Ultimately, based on the two towns sending district, Manchester Essex decided that utilizing their own website for the school project would be the best way to inform and keep the community updated. Their website was a well-known platform in the communities and was widely used. Doran Whittier feels that it's extremely important to involve the community and keep them informed from day one on the project. Their input, regular communication, and involvement can lead to successful votes and approvals of the project. As Mike had said, on all of our projects, we can successfully say that we've passed the vote the first time, and that's true for both Blue Hills and Manchester. The next slide. So we just wanted to provide an example on the Ayr Shirley and Mount Greylock projects. We developed campaigns to reach the voters at strategic times. The SBC Communications Working Group decided that printed materials would be the best widespread media to reach the voters. We had postcards and a one-page summary handout that was detailed to the community questions and answers to keep the voters informed. Ultimately, again, to gain a successful vote.
So again, to reiterate, we're very attuned to getting the vote, and it is all included in our OPM services. With that, I think we go on to your final question. And time-wise, how are we doing? We're down to the last 5 minutes. Is that correct? Pretty much.
I see about 3 minutes.
3 minutes. I'm going to be fast then. What makes OPM company unique? Your OPM company unique in the service you'll provide to the town. So we bulletize this. I can get through this. So Doran Whittier obviously is a locally owned North Shore firm. So our team members are close by and provide the on-site involvement you expect, from your OPM. For example, Mike Cox actually lives in Wakefield. He's the one that lives in your town. We bring both architectural and construction backgrounds to your project. We offer a heightened insight and practical experience to the OPM services we provide. This level of knowledge brings a perspective to problem solving and process management to deliver better results. Our company's focus is on both sides of the firm is on Massachusetts public school projects. We have developed our management systems, delivery process around this type of project. We've become specialists in working on your type of project to deliver a better building. We'll join your team, bring the existing building knowledge gained from the previous building study. We would bring Don Walter and Michelle Rogers in at the initial phase to get the team educated on the details learned from that initial effort. we would be able to leverage that previous experience to save time and jumpstart the feasibility process. We've committed 2 partners of the firm to this project. Mike and I have delivered many successful school projects, and as mentioned, we've worked together for over 15 years. We work in a team approach to bring out the best abilities in our staff. In this case, we find that 2 heads really are better than 1. We have the capacity to start immediately, as I said, and commit all the resources necessary to get off to a strong start. There are many tasks that we can get started on immediately that will only help move the process along more efficiently, and we are ready and look forward to the opportunity to get started. We have developed our systems, process tracking, staffing plans for better delivery of MSBA modules. Our customized reporting, online accessible budget and change order tracking, advanced process planning helps us keep owners more informed and aware of the progress. Both Mike and I worked at Turner Construction before we started Dorn Whittier Management Partners. We know the CM at risk delivery method better because we lived it on the construction side. We know how to get the most value for the owner from this construction delivery method. And finally, as the world is going greener and all projects are seeking and achieving better sustainable goals, net zero energy consumption, we think, may become an achievable reality soon. Mike and I were part of the team that researched and implemented the systems in Lexington, as we said, to get a net zero ready building, which as the future systems improve, it may actually become the norm. So with that, in closing, we hope we've clearly expressed how excited we are about your project. I like this slide, I like the yellow. And how we'd love to work with this PBC on the project. We know from owners that are working with multiple CMs that they don't all perform the same. We hope that we have the opportunity to work with you and show you how we are different. We believe that we are that firm that understands your specific needs, has helped you to this point get to the stage with the MSBA to get your SOI approved, and will provide you with a level of service that our past and current clients have said is above and beyond their expectations. We would love and be honored to be a part of this historic and significant project for the town of Wakefield. And that's all she wrote.
Thank you, Trip. I just have a question. I wasn't exactly sure on the number. How many high schools in the past 10 years have you guys worked on as OP?
Okay. Well, so Mike and I, while at Turner, this was just before we came over to Dorn Whittier, we're in charge of Newton North. And then we started Dorn Whittier Management Partners after that. After that, then the second job I got was Air Shirley. And then recently I just finished Mount Greylock. And then Mike, you've got
Blue Hills, 3.
Blue Hills. And that was roughly a 300,000 square foot building?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So we have three high schools as Dorn Whittier Management Partners between Mike and I. Well, Mike, you had what, 2 or 3, and then Blue Hills.
I think he's asking in the last 10 years. I think the
Oh, in
answer
the
to
last 10 years. I'm
his
sorry.
question is 3.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
sure.
Does any member of the committee have any further questions? Jim?
Hi, guys. Thank you for your presentation. I thought it was very thoughtful.
Thank you.
I always have problems with the connection between good drawings, perfect drawings, and change orders. How do you guys, what are your guys' thoughts on, are there perfect drawings, and how many change orders should be expected in a project that's like a high school? Be careful, Don's listening, I'm sure.
He could be. I don't think he is. I don't know how he's not listening in.
Yes, Chip.
Oh, that's right, he can't.
Yeah, you'd be able to see, I would guess. Well, there are no such things as perfect drawings, but in some cases you can get much better drawings. Mike, you had two things going on at the same time where I was amazed. We have an architect that had been with Dorn Whittier for 20 years or so, and he went off on his own as a drawing evaluator. As you know, with the MSBA, you have to go through a series of 4 drawing analysis. And so DD 60%, 90%, and then you have to evaluate your PSR. So he was looking at 2 different architects, 2 different projects, and looked at one set of drawings and said, these are the worst drawings I've ever seen. And then on the other hand, and I think this was at the DD level for Lexington.
That's correct.
These are more like 60% CDs than they are DDs. So Chip, I don't know whether I'm fully answering your question. How do you?
Well, I would answer it a different way.
Okay.
So my answer is no, I've never seen a perfect set of drawings, unfortunately, and I'm 28 years in and I've got a couple more years left on the ticker, so hopefully I will. But that being said, typically with a new school construction, obviously one of our jobs is to get you the right designer, okay? And we know who's out there, we know people's capacity, and we're gonna work to make sure that we get the right team. Certainly if it was a brand new school, clearly less than 1% of construction cost. Obviously, that's what the MSBA caps their reimbursement at. And so we would expect it to be not a penny over that. And in fact, we would want it to be at least half. So that's what our expectation would be from the constructability review piece. One of the unique things about us as Dorn Whittier is that as these drawings are developed, and as Tripp mentioned, we have several opportunities to look at those as they come through the design process. As we take those in-house, we have our third-party reviewer, which is Alan, who Tripp was just speaking about. And we also have a building full of architects. And so we break those plans out and I pass them around, and I have people in my office that are good at looking at exterior envelope details. Here's a set, get me some comments, and so forth. And so Tripp and I have constructability backgrounds. I know what to look for specifically as it relates to coordination between architecturals and MEPs. I find that's where a lot of the change orders arise. And so having the benefit of sort of our construction background, as well as the architectural people within the firm provide that level of input and review on your drawings, every one of these comments is going to could turn into a change order if we don't catch it during design. And some of our reviews have up to 500 comments. So architects don't always like getting our reviews, but I think they appreciate it once they get to 100% CDs.
Thank you.
It's a lengthy subject, Chip, because there are a lot of things you can do in advance that really protect you down the road, as I'm sure you're aware. The whole BIM software and Navisworks, clash detection is really playing a big role these days, if done right, in turning the change order request back on the sub. If you pay for the right coordination through BIM and through Navisworks, you can actually contractually turn it on the sub. When they say, well, my water main's running into your sprinkler head. Well, guess what? You were contracted, and it's in the construction manager's contract that you owned conflict, and you had to resolve it on paper, not in the field. And if you have to, it's on your back. So strategically, from a contract standpoint, the world's changed a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the committee or group? Anybody have any other questions? All right. Hearing none. Thank you very much, Tripp. Thank you very much, Mike, both Mikes, and Christina and Rachel. Thank you all. And we'll let you know.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time.
Have a
Yes,
pleasant
thank you so much for
evening.
your time this evening.
Thank you.
Take care.
You.
All right. Hope
Thanks,
to see you
guys.
again. Thank
you.
you.
I think that's it for tonight, Mr. Bertrand, right?
That is it for tonight. Tomorrow night at 7, we have PMA, and at 7:49 left field. So a little less of a burden tomorrow night. And the scores, the 1 through 100 scores should be sent to Chip. I asked Sherry to schedule a meeting for Thursday at 7, where we will vote on the OPM selection. There is an invoice from the DPW, and for the facility. I've asked them for a schedule. I haven't gotten anything yet. I did get an invoice from was it Weston and Sampson? Is that the name of it? And that we'll have to look at on Thursday. And then there will be some schematic design review for about an hour or so on the public safety building. All right.
All right.
Everybody?
Good.
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 So hopefully by 8:30, we should be off
Oh, yeah. I'm hoping.
Thursday night.
Yes.
Well, Joe might be off by
I'll be off
7:05,
by
but
7:35. All right.
All right, guys.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank
See
you.
you.